Welcome back to another episode of Producergrind Podcast. Carrington and JB with me.
Yo.
We got a special guest in the building here today. Bros work with X, Ski Mask, Smoke Perp, Lil Pump, Trippy Red, Lil Baby. Please welcome Jimmy Duval.
Yes, sir.
Good to be here.
Alrighty, bro.
Cool. Well, we gonna hop into talking about the track and the disputes and everything with that later on. But first, for all of our fans and audience that aren't familiar with your work, you want to talk to them a little bit about your come up story, kind of just like a good little background about your journey to where you're at now.
Hell yeah.
Let's fix this mic for you.
All right, cool. Yeah, I started making music or playing music when I was in third grade, just in school band. And then I kept doing that for a little bit. And then when I got in high school, I had actually a friend bump me kind of onto music production and was like making beats. I didn't even know what he was talking about. When he first told me, he was like, I remember I asked him this. I feel so stupid now, but he's like, I made this beat and he played it for me. I'm like, yeah, you got a drum kit at your house? I'm like, what?
About time.
I think he's like making it on a drum kit. Like, I'm like,
you're talking about like the actual physical drums?
Yeah, I didn't even know, I had never thought about it. I didn't even know you could like anything about DAWs. So
Yeah.
he actually told me, he's like, go get FL Studio and just fuck with it. And I did that day. I swear. I went and bought that shit at Guitar Center and was took it home and just started I didn't know anything about anything. So I was just fucking around for a while, but I got into it in high school. So, and then eventually I got into Logic Pro, which I use now.
Oh, okay.
But I started on FL. And just having random kids from my high school over and fucking around and just trial and error learning. I've always been really into engineering too. So I guess I just knew how bad my first track sounded when I first started producing. I'd listen to other tracks and be like, damn, there's something missing here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sonically. So that's what's always kept me kind of interested in engineering and doing that as well. Cause I just like to hear my shit back and have it be loud as fuck and bang, you know?
So did you start engineering first or did you start producing first?
I started at the same time, I'd say.
Okay.
Right when I was producing, I didn't even really know the difference. So I was I was just making shit and trying to make it sound as good as possible. And then I, kind of in doing both was still just playing a lot of music, but just spending a lot of time editing.
So how'd you start linking up with artists and being able to get the level that you're at now?
So I got a scholarship to go to University of Miami to study contemporary music. At Frost, which was cool. And it was kind of a long shot and it worked out. And then I started kind of randomly working at Flowrider's studio in Hialeah with E-Class and them. And then I was just fuck school at that point. I was doing all these sessions over there and just always in the A room, just rocking it and killing it. And then after that, I met with my business partner. He's over here. You can't see him now. And he just brought up the idea of starting kind of our own entity and publishing company, whatever, production company, label, whatever, and of any sorts. And so we got a space and started doing it. And then shortly after that, we had some big remixes come out and stuff like that. And then I had linked up with Perp and Pump and those guys. I mean, when the scene would it was just no one knew how big things were gonna get at all at that point.
Especially in Florida. Florida has a huge underground scene.
Yeah, but this is it was just nobody had ever there only been max 10 million plays on the record from that scene at that point in time.
When was this 2012, 2013?
This is
a little bit
2014.
Because 2015 is when they really popped off.
Exactly. And that's when shit started moving and we were what the fuck?
Right,
you know what I'm saying? You started to see M's popping up like crazy. And so it kind of happened organically, you know what I'm saying? I just meet more people and I had a cool studio, so come to this spot. We just make bangers, met Ski Mask that way, Trunks, that's my dog. And shit, and that's kind of how it all started. And then, after that, I produce a lot of different kinds of music, rock music, pop music, everything. So in the last year, I did some R&B projects with Republic and I'm doing some pop projects with 10K right now. And so I'm trying to do a little bit of everything. It's really my goal.
Okay. So how'd you end up, probably being in Florida, how'd you end up linking up with X and linking up with that artist?
Actually through the beat that I made, because originally it was Reggie P had come. He was at my crib for a couple days. And I remember he was like about to dip, and actually Rojas was over there at this time, and we just made the beat, and we were like, all right, Rich, you want to hit it? And he said, yeah. But you know how it is, you know what I mean. So we sent it to his email, I believe, and nothing came of it. And you know what I'm saying. And then like a couple months later, Dots on the record came out, and X had gotten on it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So when you went to make this beat and went to collab, like this collab process, walk us through what, like, the more details behind the collab process. Like, how did the beat come out? Like, who did what, and so on.
Yeah, I'll tell you straight up. Like, I'll even show you all the project file if you want. It's that easy. It's just like, Rojas over, go to cook up something for Wretch. He's like, yo, go to YouTube and, you know, cut this sample. Go, what, you know what I mean? Find the shit. I listen to it. I'm like, all right, maybe we can do something with it. I download it. I fuck it up a little bit, distort it, bring it down in pitch and format a little bit. And then, you know, but I was into, like, you know, I have made like even EDM trap edits before. So like I like heavy bass, like distorted bass. And so, you know, that was really like a lot of what I was starting to do at that time, was just like crank things up and whap it. So I just then downloaded it from YouTube. He's just chilling on the couch. And I just cooked it up. I mean, it didn't take me too long, probably like an hour or two.
No, his name is Rojas?
Yeah.
He's the other producer involved with this track?
Yeah, I guess you call him producer, yeah. But, you know, but, yeah. And then we, you know, made it, sent it to Rush, and that was it right there, you know?
So after the song, X hopped on the song, and it got released, what was the journey like from then on? How did it split out?
First, Rojas put it out without my name on it. And then, but he knows how I am. I just made a quick phone call to him personally. And my name was on it in like 40 seconds.
Like your tag, or what do you mean?
No, it's just like on SoundCloud. He just said produced by Rojas. I'm like, bro, like, you're lucky. Like, I let you keep your name on that shit. Like, but put my name on it, you know? And he did. You know, and at the time I was like, oh, fuck, man. That's like my first million plays, you know? So I was pissed, you know, as anyone would be. But now, like, anything I put out has hella millions, and I don't really give a fuck about millions. I mean, the shit I sell, you know? I don't give a fuck now. My name's been on it for 99.9% of the time, so it is what it is. But I wouldn't do that shit. You feel me?
So then once the track got out, when did all the legal situations and the controversy, did that start before recently, or had that been?
No, that did not start before recently, bro. I mean, the problem is that, you know, when you're talking about intellectual property and making a song, right? It has to be agreed upon, right? And considering that, you know, Rojas told me grab the sample, right? And there was a lot more work done than that, though, on the record. So we make the whole record, bum, bum, bum. And X does his thing on the record.
And for the context for the viewers, you want to give them the name of this, so if they want to listen to this, or if they haven't heard it, the name of the track was
called Mala Changes.
Okay.
Mala Changes. That pretty much, without the consent of any of the creatives involved, they signed the publishing off to the sample at some point, his legal team. Because it ain't between me and X. Like, people like me and X, I don't deal with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's obviously not gonna be me that figures out that this big problem exists in the publishing, but it's really the copyright for the record.
Okay.
So if you do something like you create that record, you own what you've done on the record, right? And if you're not gonna own it, you at least are gonna go into some kind of discussion or legal go through where it's gonna be decided you don't. But it can't just be given away by some random lawyer behind somebody else. You feel me? And that's pretty much what we're dealing with. Is like, I'm not like, pretty much the money of the deal is really over a 30-year collection, how much it's worth. But I'm asking just for my percentage back on the publishing. I'm saying just give me my ownership back of what I do own. You feel me? Like, and we're good and we're clear. You know what I mean?
So talk to us a little bit about, okay, so I know we spoke a little bit earlier about the publishing side comes what this all controversy is over comes from the publishing side, from the sample. And then you were telling me earlier that it should be split up, or the one entity didn't talk to another entity, like legally, or just elaborate on that a little bit.
I mean, you know, my team understands it better than I do.
Okay.
You know, so I'm explaining to the best of my extent. You know, I just make music all day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty much that at some point, the legal, you know, his legal team or, you know, whatever legal team for whatever label, in probably just a rush to get the record moved, gave away pieces of the creatives publishing, right?
Okay.
Without consent or anything, which is not, you can't do that. You feel me? And
So you didn't verify this part?
oh, no, like anything I've ever signed or done with the record states that I have the ownership of my publishing.
Okay.
And that's why it's shocking is when you have paperwork that says that you do own it, right? Like literally, like real paperwork. Like we have the date, we take pictures of every contract we sign. And then you find a contract that says you don't. From the same people, you're like, yo, like
Something's up.
this does not make sense. You feel me? Like you just can't do that, you know?
Now, how is your situation different than the Nick Muir situation with the Juice WRLD record?
Familiarize me a little bit.
So
The Juice WRLD track, and I'm not 100% accurate on this, but from what I saw was there was an issue with the sample, and then I guess the owners of the sample came back and claimed 85% of the revenue.
85% of the record. Now, I don't know if that's the 85% of the producer's publishing or 85% of all.
I honestly would have to look into it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I know that normally, like, you can make a claim on a record, but a claim is a claim, and then it's disputed, and it's figured out. You know what I'm saying?
And a
whatever-
claim is just simply like, hey, I made this.
a claim is like, hey, you sampled this. I want this much.
Okay, and you're in the perspective
And
of
they have a lawyer, right? And they're like, I want this much, right? But at that point, the parties involved with the ownership
Get to
have to
negotiate.
then be involved to negotiate and figure it out.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? If that doesn't happen, it's just like shit that still needs to be resolved.
So,
You know what I'm
like,
saying?
what do you think they forged your signature? Like, what happened?
Bro, I'm honestly like,
No, his signature wasn't even on it.
no, it's signed away by a lawyer. So it's a weird situation that doesn't even really make sense. And we're just getting to the bottom of
The
it,
only signature on it is X's attorney.
which just is like,
So, but I mean, wouldn't that be something where once you get a lawyer involved, it should be an easy fix? Like, if there's legalities to
that's the point, is that it should be easy to fix. That's what we're figuring out. It's not like it has to be stressful. Like, as long as I can get that piece of the publishing back as with my name on it, we're all set and clear.
it? And then will you get back payments, or like will it be like, oh, from here on out?
I mean, shit, I
Yeah,
don't.
so the money is just a symbol for what is owed over a certain amount of period of time, right? So if the attorneys decide, okay, cool, he clearly owns this, just give his credit back, then nobody gives us any money but the actual entities that would have made payments to all the producers and the writers. So suddenly, they don't owe us anything. It's the people that PROs.
Right,
Yeah, it's like
right.
there's still some money left, but what the amount on the claim is for 30 years. You see what I'm saying? It's saying if you didn't give me my publishing, this is what that publishing would have been worth to me every year, paying me over this amount.
So either give me the dollar,
Either
or
you
give
can
me
pay
the
me
credit.
for the publishing and I don't need to receive it, same shit, or just give me the publishing because I, made that shit. So come on.
So when you talk about the publishing, that's the financial back of it.
Yeah, I mean it's complicated,
No, that
but
would be the credit.
that's the creditor ownership of the creative work. Yeah.
Which would then result in you collecting payment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. You're paid upon publishing.
So what you want right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you want your credit and the financial piece that comes from the credit from the X amount of time it's been
no,
released.
we're saying that in 30 years, X amount of time
Mhm.
is what we're asking if, say, they don't give me it back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if not, we just want it back. You see what I'm saying? Everyone's happy. I just want the publishing piece back.
Not the money that's
The
been
money
earned.
will be paid not by the estate,
Yeah,
but by
and-
the back royalty that is owed to us.
Yeah,
from
he's
the
saying that
entities
it's it's an evaluation on how much the publishing is worth over time,
So
right?
it's pretty much saying either give me the money or give me my
The
credit.
publishing,
Don't
so
worry
I
about
can
the
collect my
money.
money over
is
time.
sorted.
Either I'll take my publishing and I'll collect the money over time, or pay for the money over time.
Right.
Okay.
I don't, you know what I'm saying?
I get
Because
it.
it's a valuable piece of publishing, and there's companies that will finance that, pay with that piece of publishing. You know what I mean? There's a lot of interesting things when it comes to copyrights. But you have to have your copyright.
It'll
That's
probably
really
get
all I'm
licensed and all that
asking for.
stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
So with your copyright,
And
it'll allow
yeah.
you to do things in the future.
exactly. Because
Okay.
it's just ownership of something I've made. Like, and I got the project file for it, And in general, like, I'm always hearing from producers, like, getting kicked around, not getting their credit, not getting their publishing for a lot of different reasons. They don't want to stand up to the artist, whatever. They don't understand exactly how publishing works. But the truth is, if you're a creative, you own what you do. You know what I'm saying? Or at least are entitled the right to negotiate for it. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it needs to change in general, and it should just be like a custom to give producers what they owed. You know what I'm saying?
Why do you think producers have a problem sticking up to artists?
I don't know, because it's like, and sometimes it's like, you're working with somebody, and when you're creative, talking about business is weird. It's like, imagine we're making a song right now, and then like I'm like, okay, I worked with somebody on this, and you did. All right, how much do you think you owe? All that stuff is better dealt with managers and stuff like that, because then like you can maintain your creative relationship with somebody. Like you really should, like, if I'm making music with you, we should meet up and make music. And I'll be like,
Not
all that
discuss
other
business.
stuff they'll figure out, and he might talk to me and check in with me, right? But it's really like.
So between creatives, you want to maintain. You
try
don't
to
want to
keep
step
it.
out of the
'cause
creative
in the
relationship.
Past, when I had to step into that, it always just turned into like not even
Sour.
an argument, but it turned into it's just not what you need to be doing. You need to be making great music. You know what I'm saying? So I try to keep the focus on that. You know what I mean?
Very interesting. So, and then one thing that stuck out to me is when you said the publishing will affect your future relationships. Now, by claiming this publishing, when you go to make a publishing deal, correct? If they don't know that, if you say, yeah, I made this track, but you don't have evidence of you making that track, they can't really.
Well, so you could have evidence, like I'm already going through something like that. You know what I'm saying? Where like there's other people involved that are coming to me like, yo, what's going on? Like, and I'm like, yo, like I have the proof I made the track right here. I even have stuff that says I own the track, but there's this, at some point in time, unbeknownst to me, this transaction occurred. So now that's what we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
So,
and it's not something you plan. It's just like when someone calls you and brings it up, which happened fairly recently, you're like, what? You know what I mean? It's shit. It just is what it is,
I was just gonna ask, like, why is it something that? Why do you think it's something that just got noticed now, like, and not something that got noticed like more in the beginning?
Because I was notified by a publishing company.
Just did a deal.
Yeah, we just did a deal,
Oh, yeah, I
and
remember you
that's
saying
when they found out, because they did all this searching around.
Mid-October, we signed a deal, and after we signed the deal, they came back to us and said, "Hey, there's this agreement that gave away your part of the copyright to the person that has the sample.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
happened here?" And then we went, "Well, that's not our signature."
Right.
So this whole time, were you guys not receiving payment for this track, or was that
We
not a
just
red
never made
flag?
a claim.
So that wasn't a red flag that, hey, we haven't been making money off of this track that got released a while ago.
I mean, pretty much for a little while now, I've been in talks of doing a pub deal, right? Which is the people that are going to collect that money. So it's not.
So you're kind of just like, I know something.
Once I find the right situation, they're going to take care of all of that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's because that's pretty much what publishing companies do. We're figuring out too. You know what I mean? Just started by kind of randomly popping off, so putting it together back then. But yeah, until they really tell you what's up or figure it out, you're kind of like waiting for some major entity to help you out with that, because it's complicated to collect money on music. It really is. It's difficult. Like you don't know how many creatives I know with so much money owed to them.
Yeah.
That it's like, okay, and you sit there and you're like, okay, you have 80,000 owed for the song. Who do you call? And they'll be like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
It's from so
there
many
has to
different
be
areas.
someone that hunts that money down for you, like at some point.
There's
like,
no like one company like, hey, if you got this issue.
Kerry Gordy told me this. I was in an 8-hour meeting with Kerry Gordy, Barry Gordy's son, and he said, all these pieces you need to be successful in the music business. And the last one, he said, you need someone to chase down your money because no one's going to bring it to you. They will pocket it before they bring it to you. You know what I'm saying? And it's straight up like, and then if you're the person that made the music, it's like, why is somebody else profiting off something that I made? You feel me?
That they had no business of creating.
Exactly. So
So how has this whole thing affected your relationship with artists moving forward, and how has it impacted you like more on a personal level?
Bro, I'm like, I don't give a fuck, bro. I'm in the studio all day long. I do a lot of work. I just love making music. I'm like a computer nerd and editor. I'm just always working. So I have such a strong team and people around me. I really don't. I'm like, ha ha ha. You know, like it's nothing personal. Like I respect X like a ton. It's nothing between me and him. Rest in peace.
No, my bad. Go ahead.
Nah, but I'm working. Every artist I'm working with, we're like all cool. You know, they understand like it's not what you think it is. It's some business shit, and it's really like. You can blow it out of proportion, but it's just asking for ownership back of something. You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to do that, like you have to put some stakes down. You know, like if I just ask for it back, if you just go, can I have it back? They're going to be like, no.
Or they'll be like, yeah, we got you.
Yeah. You see, you have to be like, yo, you either got to pay me something or give it back. And then they'll be like, okay. You're not playing around, you know, but like, or you could just wait forever and not get your money. But like, I'm a producer, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm always working, bro. And when I've even heard like making beats. Like I don't just make beats. I really be producing records and writing records with people and shit like that. But you know, it's almost like scratchers in a way. So when you have a winning scratcher and someone takes a piece away from you, you see what I mean? You're like, fuck, bro. Like this music shit is hard as it is. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? So when you kill it, you got to get your bread for it. So you can keep going forward and make more shit. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that. Why do you think, or how was it like, you know, because on your Instagram and stuff, the fans are pretty aggressive
They
with.
seem pretty upset.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and why do you think they automatically, it's like, oh, he's coming after X?
Because, bro, X is such a legendary and amazing. X is such a legendary and amazing person, and he, you know, unfortunately just passed away, and it's tragic. You know what I'm saying? Especially at his age and everything. It's like. It just sucks. So, you know, I understand it's just sensitive. It's a sensitive situation. It's like any other lawsuit happens with another artist, it'll be dealt with and you probably won't hear about it, but because of the situation, you know what? It's not something anyone likes to do. Like, I don't even like that we had to go here with this and whatever, but it just had to happen. And unfortunately isn't happening at the best time, you know, rest in peace. And, I think it's just sensitive, you know, like it was such a traumatic incident. He has so many close fans. I'm surprised it's not worse. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. And I'm a businessman at the end of the day. And shit, you know, like I'm not like a social media head. I'm not tripping. Like,
is it difficult explaining your side to anyone that doesn't really know? Because it's such a complex topic. Is it difficult to explain like, hey, this is not between me and this person. It's actually just a business issue?
I mean, somewhat, but the truth is, like,
where does it even come up?
It's mainly like super fans that are super mad, and I'm not talking to fucking super fans. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you DM me or something, like, I'm really just like dealing with business all day long in sessions and shit like that. And everyone I meet with is shit. We meet, we make shit, we make money, and we make great music. It's not like. I'm not tripping off their legal situations and they're not tripping on mine. You know what I'm saying? So if anyone in my circle ain't tripping with me, I'm all Gucci. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So, man, talk to us about this studio, and this is your personal studio, right?
Yeah, this is my studio right here. I'm a gearhead. I've always loved equipment. You know what I'm saying?
You don't say.
Yeah, absolutely. I always like to have like a dope home studio because I feel like it's a good place to incubate music out of. And like when you have that space, like I call it like a GPS location to make music. When you don't have that and you're bouncing around, it's a little trickier. But if you can lock down a situation where you create a cool spot where, you know, what I like about this room, like when we designed it, is it can really handle any level of artists. Because, you know, and we had a much smaller studio before, and I knew the caliber of artists that we couldn't bring there. We could, but if they came in there, they were not going to record. You know what I'm saying? They were going to be like, okay, call somebody. Let's book a studio. And I'd be like, you know? So, you know, we designed this and, you know, recording equipment's come so far in the last 10 years that we're able to get so much amazing equipment in a space like this. It's at a fraction of the cost of what it used to be to record really high level music. That you can get a great setup. And if you put it in a great environment and get the right people around it, you can bring the biggest people in the world around it. You know what I'm saying? And they love it because it's even a little different. So that's kind of about the space.
Where did your love for equipment come from? Because I know it's a certain type of person, like someone that comes from like an engineering background.
You know where
it's
it
a type of
definitely
person.
comes from? So my dad does construction, right? And I idolized construction my whole life because of it, right?
Mhm,
I like had little dump trucks all the time, right? So I really knew about the trucks though. I guess my parents would tell me, like, I knew all the parts of the truck. I was really into it. And then when I guess I got into engineering, it like re-clicked with something in my gearhead ways. And I started just like looking up synthesizers and outboard gear and all this stuff, and slowly got to like use it. By the time I used it, I was already really hyped up on it. And it's just a horrible addiction that will never stop. I'll be buying gear forever. I swear. I love buying gear. I just got that.
Yeah, y'all were installing that the other day.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So we're in an age where it's a lot of producers where they're working over the internet with a lot of artists, you know what I'm saying? And you talk about, you started engineering and producing at the same time. So, you know what I'm saying, you might have like a benefit over other producers when it comes to your beats and stuff like that. So for producers who never link with artists in the studio, what advice would you give them, like when they link with the artists?
I
in the
love that
studio?
question. That's one of the best questions I've ever been asked. I'm going to answer it very thoroughly. Okay, so when you have a beat, right, you have to say to yourself, what's missing? The fucking
Mic a little bit
vocal.
closer.
Yeah, okay. When you have a beat, that's great, but now you need to say, how do I get a great vocal on my track, right? So I'd tell every producer that you don't need to be necessarily a master level engineer, but you need to be ready in any situation to take a great beat you have, go into a studio, open the computer, put the right plugins that you figured out. Maybe you just Googled all day and you just said, I just need to get a good vocal chain. So when they're recording, they sound right. You know what I'm saying? But if you can get somebody sounding right, do you know how much happier they are when they're recording? And how much more likely they are to come back to you? Or even be like, yo, I'll bring you in on this record. I just need you to come record me and make sure the vocal's perfect. You see what I'm saying? So I'd tell any producer, like, and mixing is different than recording. I'm talking about recording. And there's a little bit of mixing involved, just getting them sounding right, but it's really just being able to record them right. And you'll realize that you'll be able to capitalize on moments with people where you can get that song done, not just like a loose rough.
I have to be like, yo, bro, can you get an engineer?
Yeah, and they believe you. Like when you know what you're doing, like artists believe you, and they like to have that motivation where you're like, all right, I like that. Are we going to the second verse? I got like the second verse. Like, you get that first verse done, the hook done, and then you're like, all right,
Time to crank it up.
But you need to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'd tell them just get that vocal template right and be ready, That's it. Straight up.
So all your placements have come with like working basically with artists?
Yeah.
More than sending out beats?
Yeah, like most of them, yeah. Most of everything I've released is just mixed and mastered by me too.
That's
I mix
dope.
all the vocals and everything. It's actually very few songs I put out that are mixed by other people.
So you,
But,
go ahead.
yeah, you go ahead.
I was going to ask you, so you master your tracks as well?
Yeah, I master.
Wow.
I master as well. I've been mastering for like 4 or 5 years. I actually enjoy I master for other people as well, actually.
Bro, I know a lot of producers, I get this question a lot. They're like, yo, which one do I need to... I guess they don't really understand the difference between mixing, mastering, and producing, especially mixing and mastering.
This is funny. So I'm going to clear it up. It's so simple. So simple.
Break it down for us. Let's hear it.
Producing is when you're writing music, sampling music, putting drums, when you're doing rhythm and melody and together. Think about it. That's simple. You're organizing things in sequence. There's melody involved. You're producing. Okay, you start engineering when you're not changing melody or rhythm. You're only changing how things sound. So I might put an EQ on the synth, put an EQ on the snare, compress this, that, right? It's mixing. Now, when you're mixing, you have a bunch of tracks and you can edit everything. It's kind of how you think about a studio. Mastering is literally just one file, right? That you get. So when you get something to master, it's one file, maybe the vocals separately on occasion. And then you load that file into your software and you edit it to maximize its loudness, clarity, and things like that, and sonic width. So it's really just the final step of making something sound big, loud, and great, right? But the truth is, a lot of the magic's in the mix. Like, you can only master as good as the person that mixed it sent it to you, because you don't not have all the stems. You have one thing, and you're gonna send them back one thing, the mastered version of the file they sent you.
Do you have people get upset with you when maybe the mix didn't come out correct? So you have one file that's poorly mixed, and then you master it, and they expected you to make it sound better.
The truth is, like, you know, it was a bad mix, but like, if you're decently good at mastering, it's pretty satisfying for anybody to get it back, and it's just like
louder,
clearer. They listen to their old version, they listen to that version, they're like, you know. It's a little tricky, but really, like, any mix can benefit from a good master. But I mean, the better the mix, the better and less intense the master has to be. Like, really good masters are subtle. They're really subtle and tasteful, actually.
So do you master your beats? Like, I know a lot of you master your beats before you put the vocals
master all
on.
my beats all the time. Yeah.
And what's that, Oh, go ahead.
A lot of for the audience, like producers watching, a lot of producers, I guess they're always like worried about mastering their beats and mixing their beats. Like, can you talk about the process? Like, should they be worried about that or not?
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of different people that use a lot of different processes I've talked to. I will simplify it to this. Just look and listen to your speakers. And wherever they're at, doing whatever you're doing, if you love it and you can stem it just how it sounds like that, give it to the engineer like that. Just listen to the speakers. They're the ones talking, not you. So if you love what the speakers are doing, maybe you've tested it on multiple speakers. There's nothing you have to be worried about with rules. You see what I'm saying? If that shit sounds hot, stem it and send it. You don't have to ask about it, right? And maybe you have to practice and get your own way, but I have a certain way of doing things that is often very different. But I'll meet other producers that do something very similar or something like that. But everyone's different. You know, there's a lot of different ways to make great music or mix great music. But it's just like when those speakers are rocking, you're good. You know what I'm saying? And some people, like, they won't trust that process. I'm like, bro, they'll have someone tell them something and they'll start doing something and it might negatively affect their mix. And I'm like, bro, just listen to the speakers mainly. Let everything else just be noise, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I got a question. You said Florida. You're from
No,
Florida?
I'm from Berkeley, California, Oakland, California.
Okay, so you're from out here then. So, like, what's it like to go from just like, did you have like a normal childhood? Like, were your parents like rich, or like, how was your childhood?
No, my parents weren't rich, but, you know, I had a cool childhood. Like, I love my mom and my dad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And my dad did construction. My dad's one of the hardest working people I know, so he always held it down. My mom just shut at home. I mean, I'm actually from El Cerrito, California. Most people probably won't know where that is. It's not quite the best area, but no, like, I had a pretty cool upbringing. You know, I got involved in some, you know, I got to talk about everything. I wasn't the best kid, you know what I'm saying? So I did some dumb shit and got, you know what I mean, and was involved in some shit a little over my head at points. But it was all good, you know what I'm saying? I'm cool with my parents now. I ended up pulling it off somehow, so shit.
No, I had said that to ask just like, what is it like going from, you know, a normal life to like being in the studio in the hills type shit?
Yeah, no, it's dope. But the truth is, bro, like, I'm really a studio rat, bro. Like, if you put me in the biggest house in the world and there's not a studio in it, I'm not going to enjoy myself. You know, like, I'm in the studio like 90% of my day, every day, you know? So it's cool. And I love to just, that with the better the studio and all this stuff is, the more creatives and higher level creatives come around and the better you get, stuff like that. The music keeps getting better and better. It excites me, you know? And I feel like you upgrade your space, then there's a new energy and a new inspiration, and the music keeps getting better and better and better. And there's times where it's like you work for a couple months and you're like kind of making the same shit over and over. Damn, I just like I want to like something that like shows me that I've never made before. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And then you get in times where that's all you're doing. Like every day you wake up and you make some shit you never made before. So when you're in those times, which I'm right now, you just got to shred and go hard and, you know what I mean, see what you can come up with, you know.
What would you say? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, what's one of your highlights you've had, like in your production career or in your personal life? Like, what's one of the biggest moments you've had?
One of the biggest moments I've had. I don't know. It was dope. Like at the, I think it was like the third Rolling Loud in Miami. When X played "Look at Me," because it was just like crazy to see, like, you know, like where the scene had started, and then it was like they were like,
Where it's at?
hell of people there, and they, you know what I mean, like everyone knew the lyrics for that shit, and I was like, well, it's different, a little different when you like see it for the first time like that. Like all the shows were crazy. Played the song, like, run that shit back again. It's just crazy. So it was a cool moment. See that energy.
Very cool.
And, yeah. Rest in peace, dog.
Most definitely, man. But yeah, man, another dope episode, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, thank you.
All right, bro. Hit that subscribe.
Peace.